What's up, everybody? Eric here, driverlineup.com, world's okay steering wheel holder. Whoa, you can see, look, you can see my camera in the reflection. It's like, it's not sunny, but because of the way the clouds are set up, it's super bright. And it's getting sketchy. It's about to get sketchy, I think. I've been dealing with extreme weather all night. So before I get into the topic of so we're going to talk about, I mentioned in the last video I lost the load that I had lined up, and I told you, I think I said that it's going to be pretty dang close. But I also, before I get into that, want to talk to you all about driving the Freightliner, having also driven a Peterbilt. So I got some thoughts on all that coming right up. Thank you guys so much. Please like the video if you actually like the video. It does help big time. And just appreciate all the support and comments. Be right back. All right, so Freightliner. So I had someone at the terminal the other days who's exclusively only driven a Freightliner tell me that they don't think that the difference, they can't imagine the difference between driving a Freightliner and a Peterbilt is that big. I'm going to tell you right now, if you haven't driven a Peterbilt and you've only been driving a Freightliner, you probably think, like, you probably get used to it, and you think it's not going to be that different. Man, I'm just telling you, it's night and day. And this truck has relatively new shocks on it too. Reefer just kicked on, so you're probably going to hear a little hum. It's just night and day. I don't know. So, like, Peterbilt, for years and years and years, drivers have been complaining, rightfully so, about the 579 Ultra Loft and the tiny refrigerator. And Peterbilt is like Apple. You know, the whole Apple community will say, we need this, and it would be so much better if it worked this way. And Apple's like, nah, we know better. We know better than you. We're not going to make that adjustment. Peterbilt does the same thing. Like, literally everyone wants more space for a bigger refrigerator in Peterbilt, and Peterbilt is just not gonna, like, these keep coming out with these new models, and it's just not addressed. But that is the same as Freightliner when it comes to its ability to absorb shock. And this is not new. It's been years and years and years, decades of them being called freight shaker, and Freightliner just doesn't really seem to do anything about it. You know, there's some upgrades you can do. You can get air ride suspension, you know, a couple more airbags or whatever it is. And even then, I've talked to drivers who have that, and they say they still experience the same thing that I experience. So it's just absurd to me that these trucks in 2023 still ride the way they ride. They just cannot absorb shock whatsoever. There is no way I could sleep in this truck when it's riding. And I did team on a Freightliner. Jenna and I teamed on a Freightliner for not very long. I think maybe a couple months, I think. And it was tough. But there's just riding in this today and yesterday, you know, it's fine because I'm solo. It's not really that big of a deal, but there's just no way I could sleep in this truck when it's moving. No way in hell. So I'm not trying to sell you all on Peterbilt. There's things about the Freightliner that I love, and I'll probably talk about those in some upcoming videos. There's a lot of things I love about the Freightliner. Number one, that this load is fat as hell. Yeah, 44,000 pounds in the box. doing 9.5 miles per gallon all the way from Springfield up here to northern tip of Indiana. A lot of things like that I love. But the shock absorption, like when you're in a Peterbilt and the road's doing this, you still feel it, right? You kind of, you're driving over cracks and bumps and stuff. Like the road's doing this, but the truck does this, right? So you feel this underneath you, but the truck's not bouncing. And the Freightliner, the truck's doing this. It is just nuts how little this truck can absorb shock. There's that construction, on 44 between Springfield and St. Louis. If you take that right lane and you don't cross over in the other lane in that construction zone, you will pay a price. It beat the living shit out of me yesterday. So anyway, I digress. I guess my point in saying that, before I get to the update on this load and the load that I had, my point in saying that is there is no comparison in the ride and comfort of a Peterbilt. I would not team in a Freightliner, period. And maybe that's just because I've teamed in a Peterbilt and driven a Peterbilt. I have a Peterbilt. That there's just no going back. Once you have that experience, then this seems like, again, it's just night and day. So if you have the option and you're considering teaming or training, even though the fridge is a pain in the ass and there's some things about the Peterbilt that's a pain in the ass, the ride alone to me would be worth trying to get a Peterbilt. My 2 cents on that. Tell me if you agree or disagree. And there's other things that make the Peterbilt better too. The engine brake, for example. But anyway, so I had that load I was talking about yesterday, and sure enough, after I finished making that video, it became pretty clear that driver, I don't know for a fact, but I felt like that driver may have dilly-dallied a little too much to get that load to Springfield. And it should have been a solo load, and it became a team load real quick. So, and it was kind of a bummer because it was going where I wanted to go. It was paying what I wanted it to pay. It was the distance that I wanted it to be, but it got to the point now, and what sucked is he was only 35 miles out from Springfield when I just made the judgment call. Like it just had a little bit too many miles to make it in one drive, so I would have had to, take a 10 or do something funky and everything would have had to go absolutely flawless and perfect to get it there. And I called my fleet manager. I'm like, bro, look, if I need to try and do this, I'll seek perfection, but I'm feeling a little sketched out about it. And I know he's only 35 minutes away, but it's sketch. And it took him like 60 seconds. He's like, yeah, no, we're not going to risk that. He's like, there's just, the odds of it being late are too great. We'll put it on a team because they don't have to stop. So I lost that load. And I was super bummed about it because, like I said, it was already a great load that I wanted, but it also took me a long time. There was very little solo freight coming into Springfield. It took me a long time to get that load. It took me all night of going over to outbound and trying to work them and, get a load. So I was like, crap, I'm going to sit here another 8 or 10 hours to wait for another load. So I called over to outbound and was like, hey man, this just happened. Fleet manager, he's like, yeah, we just talked to him. We took you off. I was like, yeah, man. And I've been sitting here all night waiting on that load. And they're like, well, let me check on this. And turned out there was one other, there was still the one that was going to Virginia, Maryland, and somewhere else, which I did not want to do. And then they fortunately had this one coming up to northern Indiana that was already there, that had gotten dropped off. I think a truck ran out of hours or something, and ended up dropping it off its terminal, and that's why they didn't know about it earlier. So, here's some advice I would give to those of you sitting in Springfield, sitting at the terminal. If they tell you, call us back tonight, which would be like 10 hours from now, I would move over there and go in and have a conversation with somebody 3 or 4 hours later, because stuff gets dropped off there all the time that they don't know is going to be dropped off there. So, don't just wait the whole 10. If they say, call us back tonight or call us back tomorrow morning, man, I ain't going to sit there and, I'll be back in 3 or 4 hours. Because that's exactly what happened, is that there was something they didn't really know about that just kind of dropped in their laps, and I ended up with it. So yeah, it ended up working out. I also had a check engine light yesterday when I'd taken a break at a truck stop, turned the truck off, turn it back on, and I had the yellow check engine light. I'm like, come on, you gotta be kidding me. There was no faults, couldn't find any faults, going through all the various, fault checks. And so I contacted Road Assist, and they said that it was a non-critical code for the exhaust system. And I was like, man, because I got my Peterbilt was in the shop like the day before yesterday with sensor issues with its exhaust system. I was like, I can't handle this. I finally got to load out, getting moving, getting things going. My other Freightliner, he's rock and rolling, kicking ass. I can't, please don't make me have to deal with some BS right now. It turns out what I think was happening, and I recall when I shut the truck off, like right when I shut it off, it started to ramp up its RPMs. I think it was trying to start a little bit of a regen right when I shut it off, and I think that might have something to do with it, because they said go ahead and drive it and just let us know because they looked it up on Freightliner, and it's, yeah, you can drive on that. Just let us know if it starts derating or you lose speed or power. But it should, according to the Freightliner website, it should go away. And it did. It went away like 3 miles down the road. And this load is very heavy, and as soon as I got up to highway speed, I'm guessing it just started cleaning itself up. It didn't say that it was real dirty or sooty. You've got a little option here on the dash that'll tell you the soot level. So it had like just a little bit of soot on that bar graph, but it said soot level's good. But I'm guessing once I got out on the highway and it started regenerating, especially with that heavy of a load, which is what you want. If your truck needs to regen while you're out on the road, you want a good heavy load on it. I've had that conversation with multiple techs, including the Peterbilt rep for Springfield. He and I talked about that at length like 2 years ago. So fortunately, I think I escaped on that one. But it's good, it's good being out. I had storms all night. I was able to make it to one of my favorite way stations. If y'all are familiar with that way station that is eastbound on 70 right before Effingham, Illinois, that way station is one of my favorite effing places to park, because there's always parking there. Always. It doesn't matter if it's 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. There's always parking there. I've literally never, ever not been able to park there. And it just so happened that that was the distance I wanted to drive. I ended up doing a split because I ended up doing a split break for reasons, but I wanted to stop there and get a few hours of sleep, get a nice nap, and wait out some pretty severe weather that was right ahead of that. and it ended up working perfect. When I woke up, I caught the tail end of it. The truck was rocking back and forth, but then it all passed by the time I started moving, so it ended up working perfect. And then came up here to where I'm at, where I'll do a 10 and then head to Walmart. So successfully off the yard, successfully avoided a potential check engine problem, successfully got reloaded after losing a load, and the only real complaint about this load and this drive is this damn truck and its horrible shock absorption. I don't know if you guys can see it in my sunglasses, but I think a Stevens Transport just rubbed another truck with his trailer backing up, and it makes no sense because this truck stop is mostly empty. So how and why that could happen when there's no truck on the other side of him either? Yeah, he rubbed the wheel well, is that what you call it? Fender? On his driver's side. So it's a side he could see. Anyway, it's crazy out here, you guys. There's all kinds of shit you see all the time. This is why I drive at night, and I park very defensively in the daytime. If you see in my sunglasses there ain't no trucks in front of me, that's because not only am I in a straight back spot, I'm in a spot where both sides of me are straight backs, and nobody can bonus park in front of us. So it's all about doing everything I could possibly do to be next to spots that would prevent, at least for the most part, prevent or minimize any risk of my truck getting hit while I'm asleep. All right, guys, that's my update for now. Be safe, make good decisions, always drive to thrive. Talk to you guys soon.